Hello everyone, in this tutorial video, we will be learning on Zoom API. First, let us see the topics that we are going to see in this video. 1. Overview of Zoom API, 2. Testing part, and 3. Checking API on web. Zoom API is the primary means for developers to access a collection of resources from Zoom. It allows developers to request information from the Zoom including but not limited to user details, meeting reports, dashboard data, etc. as well as perform actions on the Zoom platform on a user's behalf, such as creating a new user or deleting meeting recordings. It allows us to deliver a seamless meeting experience across our platform. It allows MeetingBird to deliver a powerful scheduling experience whenever customers need it. First, we will see the authentication part. In this, every HTTP request made to Zoom API must be authenticated by Zoom. Zoom supports the following two primary means for request authentication: 1. JWT, and 2. OAuth 2.0. JWT is a simple authentication protocol, and it stands for JSON Web Token as the name suggests. It is only a token for transferring secure data among two parties, that is client and server. It is an authentication framework, where it allows applications to obtain access to Zoom resources such as the user's profile information that are made available via the Zoom API. It is a set of rules or a procedure commonly called a framework that help to authenticate and authorize two parties to transfer secure data. The code flow of this authorization are: 1. The application requests authorization to access service resources from the user. 2. If the user authorized the request, the application receives an authorization grant. 3. The application requests an access token from the authorization server, API, by presenting authentication of its own identity, and the authorization grant. 4. If the application identity is authenticated and the authorization grant is valid, the authorization server, API, issues an access token to the application. Authorization is complete. 5. The application requests the resource from the resource server, API, and presents the access token for authentication. 6. If the access token is valid, the resource server, API, serves the resource to the application. Both these can be used together in transferring secure data. This is the overview of the OAuth server architecture, during the authentication of client and accessing the token by the client. When the client gets the access token through OAuth method, the client can access the resources via resources server through the access token, but the token is valid for some days or hours or weeks, and the client should validate the access token after it gets expired again and again. For testing, we will be using Postman, which is the complete toolchain for API development and testing. It has many features like importing collections, and setting up environments make it easy to get started with testing a third-party API. To get started, you will need to import the Zoom API collection from GitHub using the OpenAPI specification. In the top toolbar click Import, then select Import from link. In the pop-up box just enter the following link, and click Import. You should now have all of the APIs listed in your Postman tool under a collection called Zoom API. Zoom API version 2 utilizes JSON Web Tokens, JWT, for authentication. To use Postman with the Zoom API, we need to provide a JWT. The easiest way to do this is to go to jwt.io and create one. Now, build your JWT on the jwt.io by populating the decoded section by replacing the API key and API secret with your information, and set the expiration time in the payload to a future time. Before that, first you need to go to your developer account page, and get your API key and secret to generate the token. On the Edit Collection screen, switch over to the Authorization tab. Change the type to bearer token and paste your JWT into the text area on the left. Click Update. Now let us take a look at an API endpoint, List Users. In the Authorization tab, you should see that the type is set to inherit auth from parent. The message in the box on the right side of the screen should indicate that the request is using the helper we just set up. Try clicking Send. You should get a successful response. If you switch over to the Headers tab, you will see that the authorization header was automatically added to the request. These steps should get you started quickly testing out the Zoom API with Postman. If you see the status, it is 200, which means it is working perfectly without errors. We can test the API on clicking the tests. Let us check whether the code is 200. Then let us click on send. If we go to test result, we can see that the test is passed. Thank you for watching, but don't forget to subscribe to our channel.